Hey everybody, welcome to our first official team call. I am excited about starting this weekly kind of tradition, I guess, because it's nice to have the individual communication that we have with our weekly check-ins, but I tell all of you that I want to foster like a really close-knit relationship in our team, and so I think that this will really help it when it's not so short notice and more people are hopping on and everyone gets to be in the chat box and everything. That'll be really fun and also effective because you'll get all of your questions answered in real time. And each week we'll have a topic and you guys can help choose it some weeks, and some weeks I'm going to choose it. But either way, I think it'll be really helpful for everybody involved. So first things first, how I would like to start these team calls is just by doing a little recognition, maybe announcements, whatever is coming up in the week, depends. But I would like to welcome our new coaches. We have a lot of new coaches that have just joined the team within the last few months, and so a big welcome to all of you. If you haven't already watched the Infinity Fitness Institute, this goes for you and for older coaches on our team also. Make sure you watch that because it will cover a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today in this call. This call is really not a what to do call, but it's more of like a motivation or like how to do it, I guess. So make sure you watch the Institute videos because those are going to be really informational and really helpful for all coaches, no matter how long you've been coaching. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was those weekly individual check-ins that I mentioned at the very beginning. I will not resend. I have like a little, I guess, template that I will send each week. But if you don't respond from my previous check-in, I'm not going to resend it. I don't want to be the naggy coach who is constantly sending you messages and you just don't respond, because that's a waste of both of our time, I think. And so if you signed up to receive those weekly check-ins from me, please respond, because I am taking the time out of my day to make sure that I am available for when you respond so that I can answer and talk about the stuff that I am asking about. So really just take responsibility for that. If you don't want it, let me know. I would really appreciate that because, like I said, all of our times are valuable, and I would just want that to be an effective conversation for us and not something that annoys you. So let's see, what else do I have? I also wanted to recognize our coach today, Hood, because she did really awesome last month. She did a live video where she went in and explained a challenge group and everything that comes in a challenge pack, and I hopped on and watched a little bit of it. She did really awesome. Comments were going in and out, and it was really fun to watch her do that. So big props to her. With that, I think that's all I have for announcements and recognition. Tomorrow is Monday, and we will have the National Wake Up Call, so be sure to hop on that or listen to it sometime throughout the week. But other than that, I have nothing else, so we can just hop right into the call. And so as you can see, or as I might have told you, the topic for tonight is sparking momentum. So I'm going to actually go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see my little PowerPoint that I have. One second. Okay. So, don't look at this. Okay, so I picked this topic because it's a very popular thing that I've been hearing about in those weekly check-ins from those of you who have responded. And obviously, every new coach needs to spark momentum in their business. And so I think this is something that will help all of us and really just be helpful. So I want to give you a new insight, maybe a different point of view from this topic. A lot of you might, get different ideas from different coaches who kind of speak on the same subject. And so I hope that I'm giving you new information. And for those of you who haven't watched any other videos about this topic, then this will be a great introduction. So when you start this business, you're going to feel a lot of emotions. You feel overwhelmed, excited, all of the above. There's lots of information that's thrown at you, and you kind of are left with like, what do I do next? How do I start with all of this going on? So what I want to do is talk about kind of where to start, because most of you will look to top coaches for direction or guidance, and that's perfectly fine. But when you do that, it's easy to think like, oh, they have it made. Everything they do just comes so naturally and easy to them. They're posting and they're getting like 5,000 likes. And when they ask for people to join their challenge group or their team, they're getting all these comments and all these emails, and it just looks so easy. And it's easy to think that you're only seeing the like end result instead of their journey, and so you start comparing yourself and you take your eyes off what you need to do and you start looking at what they are doing. And when you're comparing yourself as a new coach to a veteran coach who's a top coach, your to-do list and your daily activities are going to be different. And so if you start doing their daily to-do list, you're not going to be productive. So I want you to remember that every coach, no matter where they are right now at this point in time, they have worked to get to where they are. Or there are some coaches who haven't worked and they're just stuck in the same spot. And maybe that's you. And maybe you want to get out of that rut. And so that's why we're on this call, obviously. So I'm giving you 5 tips in this call to kind of help you spark that momentum that we want to start as a new coach. And I just want you to know that consistently over a period of time, if you actually do these things and you do the stuff that we learn in the Infinity Fitness Institute, you will grow. It's pretty much guaranteed. You cannot not grow in this business if you are actually honestly doing the stuff that needs to be done. I'm a year into coaching, a little over a year, and I'm just now seeing the results of my momentum growing and the snowball effect happening. But it didn't just come like at the very beginning of my coaching journey. It didn't even come like a couple months into it. It has been, like I said, over a year, and that comes from me checking in every single day, doing my daily vital behaviors and everything like that over a long period of time. And so have patience and do the hard work and you will get there. So it's not going to be easy, but here's what you can do to actually start. So first I want to start by talking about what is momentum. An actual definition is a series of successes that happen quickly after one another. So in Beachbody, an example of this would be starting off with a lot of challengers, reaching Success Club 10, recruiting and growing your team at a rapid rate, and even rank advancing in a short amount of time or just like without long spaces of time in between each rank advance. And so the physical equation for momentum is velocity times mass. And so I kind of incorporated it for Beachbody, and momentum for Beachbody would be motivation times productivity. So motivation is a big thing that we talk about as coaches. And when you start, like I said, you have a lot of emotions going on, and you usually start really excited, really hopeful, you're ready to go. And that comes because it's a new opportunity. So of course you're excited to start it, and you're hopeful for the outcomes that you can produce for yourself. But you're also kind of scared of failing. You don't want to start something and not do it well. Some people say that that's a bad source of motivation, but I kind of disagree. That's one of my biggest sources of motivation, and it really drives me. So if you let it be a good source of motivation, then I don't think you should just count it out. But another big source of motivation is your why. And your original sources of motivation and your original why that you tell yourself aren't going to be enough. I just want to be honest with you. If you don't have a strong enough why, you're going to burn out. And most coaches who burn out, it is because they haven't defined their why. So I want you to really think about it. Maybe when you're taking notes, leave a space in your notes and write down what is your why. And when I talk about this on like getting started right calls with coaches, a lot of them say, it's to help people. I want to make a little extra money, and that's fine, but that's the kind of why that's going to make you burn out, because you're not giving yourself an actual reason. As a coach, we're naturally going to help people if we're actually doing what we're doing. So your why shouldn't be something that's going to happen anyways, if that makes any sense. So instead of saying what you want to do, helping people, ask yourself why you want to do that. Why do you want to help people? Why do you want to make money? I want to help people because I know what it feels like to be there in a low spot, and I know what it feels like to not be confident in my body, or to not be able to engage in activities with my family because I haven't felt fit, or I felt sick because I've been taking such bad care of my body. Or I want to make extra money because I want to be able to go out on dates with my husband every weekend. Or I want to get my kid the toy that he wants on Christmas. You know, whatever it is, find that why and make it something that's like really deeply rooted in you. It should make you cry. Like Angie Belmar always says, if your why doesn't make you cry and feel like a really deep emotion, then it's not strong enough. So don't ask what your reason is, ask why you want to do what you're doing as a coach. When you have a strong enough why, you're halfway there, but now you have to act on it. And so that's the productivity side. So this is my tip number 1, is to strengthen your why. So the productivity side of that equation, that's what is going to help you focus on what to do. There's so much information and so many shiny things to look at when you first become a coach. And in your training, I try to narrow that down for you in the Infinity Fitness Institute. But when you're Googling questions, you know, you're YouTubing and everything like that, you're going to find a lot of different topics, and you're going to become interested in it, and you're going to want to work on your website and your social media and yada, yada, yada. And there's so much going on, but I want you to have laser focus on the vital behaviors. They are called vital behaviors for a reason. And if you actually do them every single day and you're consistent with them, consistency is a big thing. If you're doing that every single day, they will be a solid cornerstone for building your business. Don't get caught up in the frivolous things like doing free challenge groups. I mean, free challenge groups are fine, but if you're constantly giving away free meal plans, free workout plans, free this, free that, that's exactly why we are a coach, because we have something to give to people that will actually help them without us having to work our butts off to give it to them for free. So don't try to have like 5 billion free groups just to get you started. Maybe one is fine, but don't let it take up all of your time, because that's not going to be productive. So lead a challenge group with the actual challenge packs. This is really important because, like I said, this is what's going to allow you to actually like form a relationship with someone, and you're going to be able to give them the tools that they need, but you're not going to be working your butt off to give it to them for free. And it's going to be something that's guaranteed to help them, or they get their money back. So lead a challenge group with challenge packs. Another thing is commit to being a product of the product yourself. I didn't do this for the longest time, and I always had an excuse, you know, like I play softball for my university, and I always had my own workouts that I had to do. And so I didn't think that I could do the programs. I didn't think that I could eat on the meal plan because it was too hard when I was traveling with my team. But this summer, I changed that mindset, and I'm carrying it into this year. And I can tell you this summer is when my momentum really started to pick up, because I was showing people that I could do it and I didn't have any excuses. When I was a product of the product myself, and I was showing people that I was working out every single day with the Beachbody products, I was drinking my Shakeology every day. I was drinking the pre-workout formulas, the post-workout formulas. You know, I was being a product of the product, and I got results. And that was really what hooked people. And a lot of people that I had been talking to in the past came back to me at that time. And now I have almost a full challenge group of people that I was talking to, you know, like 6 months ago. And so that really was productive for me by being a product of the product. And that's a daily vital behavior. Another thing that you can focus on is consistent social media presence. So this isn't posting once a week or posting once every few days. But it's posting every single day, multiple times a day if you can. And this doesn't have to be super annoying. What I do on my social media is I now post once a day on Instagram, and I post a lot on Snapchat, I'll be honest. But I'm also posting on Facebook because it's hooked to my Instagram. And so people are seeing me consistently every single day, but I'm not overloading them with just information that's not helping them. I'm adding value every single post. On my Instagram posts, I used to post every single meal, every single workout, and that was fine. But I found that it was more about me, and people don't really care about what I'm doing, but more about like how what I'm doing can affect them. So be consistent on social media and do it every single day, and make it about how you can help them with every single post, not so much about you. People aren't going to care like, oh, I did another P90X workout. Well, that doesn't help them at all. Instead, you could show them a move of the day that you did from that workout, and they can do it at home. And they can see over time, hey, these moves aren't so bad. I wonder what the entire program is like. And that's your productivity. Another big thing is the daily invites. If you aren't inviting daily, you are wasting your time. The most productive thing that you can do is to send out invites. So if you do nothing else every single day, I would send out invites. I do a whole training on this in the Infinity Institute. So if you don't know how or you don't know what to say, go watch that video. You have resources. There are no excuses. You should be sending out your invites every single day. And then, of course, personal development. I'm now a huge fan of that. Again, I have another video on that. And I also have 3, I think, free ebooks on my Infinity Institute site that you can start with. So again, there are no excuses. It's a free book. You just click the link and download it, and you can listen to it. So you don't even have to read it. So instead of focusing on all the shiny things that look like fun, like your website or creating a big Facebook page or, doing anything that doesn't really bring in people and help people, don't do that and focus on the vital behaviors. The vital behaviors are what is going to build the cornerstone of your successful and productive business. So that's my second tip, is make the vital behaviors your priority. Okay, so now I want to talk about the difference between dabbling in coaching and diving into coaching. I say this all the time, and you might get sick of me saying it, but you will get out of this business what you put into it. And so I want you to honestly ask yourself, are you dabbling or are you diving all the way in? Every coach has a different commitment level, and that's completely fine. Some people just want to make extra spending money for the weekend, but some people want to make a career. So you have to know what kind of coach you are, what you're expecting to get out of it before you determine what you're going to put into it. So for the sake of the call and this information, I'm just going to assume that all of us are business builder coaches who eventually in the future want this to be our full-time career. So we're not hobby coaches. So the hobby would be the dabbling. You are a business owner, as we're assuming, but are you actually treating this like a business? If you had built an actual brick and mortar business and it was just a traditional building where you had to go in and clock in, would you be treating it differently than how you're treating this Beachbody business now? I can almost guarantee you that your answer is yes, because as a Beachbody coach, you didn't have to spend thousands of dollars or get any loans to build an office or to start this business at all. You don't have that, weight upon your shoulders that you might not get a profit for years upon years as an actual entrepreneur. We didn't have to do that, or we didn't have to answer to investors or a board or anything like that. So it's really easy to neglect our business responsibilities. And I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're a Beachbody coach, you own a business and you are responsible for that. It's so easy to be a dabbler, to work when it's convenient instead of clocking in or whatever you want to say every single day, because it wasn't a huge investment. It was $140 for most of us. So that's not like a life or death situation where we have to get our money back. It's easy to ignore the most important vital behaviors, especially inviting, instead of actually networking like an actual entrepreneur. Whereas if you are diving in and actually treating it like a business, you will show up every day. I always talk about the analogy of like an actual business owner. If they didn't actually go into, let's say you own a restaurant, if the owner of the restaurant didn't show up and open the doors every day, then his business would go bankrupt immediately. If his business isn't open, it's not making any money. He's not there to do any of the work. And most likely his employees aren't going to show up either. And so it's just going to tank immediately. An actual business owner will make working a priority, even if it's in your free time, because you are building this business from the ground up. You have no choice but to just make it a priority. And if it's really something you care about, it should be fun to you. And I personally do this in my free time because I prefer to do it versus watching Netflix or anything like that. If I have a Netflix show I want to watch, I work while I watch it. It's a priority to me. someone who's diving into coaching will share this opportunity on social media through public posts and in direct messages. So like I said, on the dabbling side, they don't send individual messages because maybe they are not confident or they feel like they don't know what they're doing. But someone who's diving in, it doesn't matter. They're starting now and they are telling people about this because they want to pay it forward and they want their business to grow. So overall, someone who's diving in treats it like an actual business. So newsflash, if you treat this Beachbody opportunity like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. So not very well. Something that I always compare to myself is when I was in high school, I really liked to make hair bows because I was a softball player and it was just something that I did and it was fun. And in high school, we wore different accessories, I guess, to football games. And so I decided to sell my bows to my high school friends. And I was shocked to see that I could actually make money off of something that was a hobby. But it turns out I didn't make that many because it was just something that I did when it was convenient and I didn't have enough time to, fulfill the demand. So I was treating it like a hobby. And since I didn't make that many bows, I didn't get paid like I could have if I actually sat down and made the, 80 bows that were requested of me. I could have made bank for a high schooler, but I chose not to because it was a hobby. So just like that in Beachbody, if you choose to only work when it's convenient and you choose to only do it like when you feel like it, you're only going to get paid very little. So everyone on this call has priorities other than Beachbody, and I completely understand that. I am a college student. I have homework. Today when I was making this presentation, I was supposed to be writing a 4-page paper. I still got it done somehow, but we all have different priorities and we all have different things going on. But what I want you to do, even if you have another job, I want you to act as if Beachbody is your only source of income. If you had to act like that, how would you actually work it? Even if you only had an hour a day, I bet you would be laser focused. You wouldn't have any distractions. You'd make sure to do the vital behaviors, and you would take it a lot more seriously than if you just say, oh, it's okay if I don't make anything this week because I have my other job. Switch your mindset and just kind of trick yourself. Say, this is my priority. I need this money. It's my only source of income. If that's what you have to do, you got to do what you got to do. So there are people in this business who, I know of dentists who are now top coaches. They were working full-time jobs, some on-call doctors with a very, unflexible schedule. And they are now the top coaches in this business. And it's because they did it on the side and they didn't have excuses. So it's been done before and you can do it again. They have left cookie crumbs. Now in these days, we have YouTube and Google. It's so easy to find their training videos. If you go and just make a YouTube search, you can follow their cookie crumbs. So that's my next tip, is to be resourceful and follow the cookie crumbs. Go look at the trainings that people have left for you, because the people who have had full-time jobs and they were building this business on the side, they will tell you how if you just go out and look for that information. Okay, moving on. Listening to training is not equal to more productivity. However, if you actually listen to the training and you put it into action consistently, that's when you'll be productive. So actions speak louder than words. If you continue to do what you've been doing, nothing's going to change and you're going to be stuck in that rut. And so if you're actually going to change what you're doing and you're going to start doing personal development and listening to training videos and finding answers and being resourceful, it's only going to be worth your time if you actually put what you learn into action. You have to incorporate it into a new routine. So don't be afraid of change and don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. Obviously, you're going to have to change something because you're listening to this call thinking, how can I make momentum? So obviously something that you're doing isn't working and you need to make a change. So I'm challenging you today to figure out what you're going to change in your routine or what you're going to start doing or adding into your routine that's going to actually make you productive. So like I said, you have to put your training into action. And I have experienced this firsthand, but there are so many different ways to do all the different tasks in Beachbody. You can find a lot of different examples of power hour to-do lists. You can find different tracking techniques. There's just so many different techniques for every little action. And what works for you might not be what you watch on YouTube one day. So it's not that you're not cut out for coaching or that you're a bad coach or you're just not doing it right. It's just that you haven't found what works for you yet. And the actions that you're doing aren't effective for how you function as a coach, which is completely fine. So keep looking and keep searching for different methods, or get creative and create your own method. So many times I have started doing something and I thought it was great and I thought it was a genius idea, but I just could not keep up with it. You know, I always thought I was a pen to paper person, but it turns out that I'm really not. I like to have everything in one spot. And so I tried having it in my notebook, but I couldn't keep track of my conversations and my emails and everything in one spot. And so I moved on to the next thing and found out it didn't work either. I spent money on this tracking device and it didn't work. And, you know, I had to experiment and I had to play around to see what works for me. And eventually I found it, and I'm sure in the future I will have to change what I'm doing again, because I'm going to have to get out of my comfort zone to keep on growing. So even if you find something that works for you for every little action, for tracking your conversations with people, for sharing your social media or scheduling it, you know, all these different things that you could do, chances are you're probably going to have to change it in the future. So get comfortable with change and get comfortable with getting out of your comfort zone. So be in it for the long haul. I have a lot to say about this tip because it is a big one. All of us have the ability to do these vital behaviors for one day or for a week or, you know, even a month, but it is really rare to find someone who's willing to be focused and passionate and consistent without seeing immediate gratification. An example of this is brick and mortar businesses, like I've talked about, the people who actually, you know, go out and get loans to start a business. They aren't guaranteed an income at all, and most of them are usually in the red for like 5 years plus. Before they see any profit, they are still there working every single day, grinding and out on. And on top of that, they're probably paying employees, they're paying all their business fees, and we don't have to do that as coaches. So think about how lucky we are that we don't have to do that. And just before you complain that you are making a profit within a few months, think of those people who are building businesses and aren't seeing a profit for years upon years. It's more than possible to make money within a few weeks within this business, FYI. I made my investment back, and you can too. If you haven't yet, and it's been a while since you signed up, maybe you're just watching this video, and I hope you have a light bulb moment and you find what works and you find what you need to change. But my point in this is saying that the top coaches in this business aren't the people who are the most like smart business people or the most tech savvy or whatever you want to say. They aren't the most smart business people. They are just the people who did the daily vital behaviors every single day over a long period of time, and they were consistent with it. If you look at most of the top coaches, they've been coaches for 5+ years. So no wonder they're making millions of dollars in this business. They have been working their butts off for years. And now they're at the point in their business where they can kick their feet up and relax a little bit. But you shouldn't expect every single action to result in money or to result in anything for that matter. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not something that you're going to be successful in overnight. So you need to remember that it's not how fast you grow, but it's how solid you grow, which is why we want momentum and not speed. So I can speak firsthand to this. It's, I've dropped rank many times because I tried to rank up really fast, and I just, you know, found people who would sign up and then they didn't, you know, follow through. They didn't hold up their part of the bargain, I guess. And I dropped rank. And that's because I tried to do it really fast, and I didn't find people who actually cared about this business. I didn't find people who actually wanted to work it. And so I went with the speed instead of the momentum, and that came back to bite me in the butt. So it's, you want to build a solid business, not a fast business. Okay. So you don't need to have it all figured out. I want you to start now. Like I said earlier, actions speak way more louder than words. You can't wait until you have everything planned out before you go. Don't wait until you know exactly what to say to every single response that you might get back from someone who you're inviting. Don't wait until you have a transformation, or, don't wait until you have everything planned out in your planner for months upon months. It's okay if you start now and you're doing something wrong. You can only get better by making those mistakes, and you just need to start now. So I look back at, you'll hear this from a lot of other coaches, they look back at what they sent to people at the very beginning and they're like mortified. But if they hadn't sent that and they hadn't gotten back the no's or the rejections, then they wouldn't have known that they needed to change what they're saying. So you can only learn by making those mistakes. So you have to start somewhere. And like I said, people aren't going to relate to you if you are a perfect just image of perfection. They don't want someone like that. They want someone that they can relate to. You need to start to get the ball rolling in order to start rolling down that hill. If you have a snowball and it sits at the top of the hill forever, you're never going to roll down to the bottom. But if you start pushing that snowball down, eventually it's going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to roll faster and faster. So you need to figure out how to start now, and you need to be okay with making mistakes. You will mess up, I guarantee it, but that is okay. Learn to accept the failure and learn to figure it out on your own to get better. So we are inspired by transformations. That's why Beachbody has success stories, or they reward people for their transformations and they send them in. And I want you to think about it this way. It wouldn't be inspiring if their before photos were already like picture perfect. If they already had abs in their before photos and their after photo looked exactly the same, there would be no inspiration drawn from that. So we are inspired by transformations because the before picture is usually a worse version. So when you picture your transformation of your Beachbody business, I want your before picture to be where you're at right now, no matter how good or how bad you think you're doing. And then later, I want that transformation, the after side, to be your vision of a good coach. And I want you to continually strive to do that and let that be your own inspiration. Be inspired by your own possible transformation and work towards it every single day. So that's my last tip for you, is to start now. Sorry, I'm reading my notes about these slides. Okay, so the thing about momentum is that it can't be built if you start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. Once you start going, you have to keep going. So this is, I brought up the snowball effect again. If the snowball stops halfway down the hill, it has to start building up its speed up all over again. And this is kind of like a yo-yo dieting cycle. So when you are yo-yo dieting, you will make progress, and then you have to start all over again when you quit, because you'll lose weight. But then when you're off that trend diet or whatever you're on, you're going to gain back the weight. And then you have to go on another diet and you'll lose a little bit of weight. And then you eat another meal or two and you gain back the same amount of weight. And so you're always stuck in the same spot and you never really make true progress. So the same goes for coaching. When you make progress in your coaching, let's say you hit Success Club 5 for 1 month, you have to keep your foot on the pedal. You have to keep working towards Success Club 5 again, or Success Club 10. You have to keep raising your standards and working for another goal. You can't let your foot off the pedal, because if you take your foot off, you're going to lose your progress. When you decide to start again, you'll have to grind to get just back to where you started when you let off your foot. This only makes it harder on you, and you can see that you're in a perpetual cycle of working hard, and then you make progress and you feel good about it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I worked hard enough, that's fine. I'm going to take it easy for a little bit. This coaching thing, it's kind of stressful. I just need to lay off for a second. And then a week later, you come back and you expect to pick up right where you left off, but that's just not how it works. Everyone else in this world keeps on moving forward, and every day that you take away from your business, you're taking a baby step back from this progress that you already made. So to make it easier on yourself, in the long run, it's going to be easier if you just decide to grind it out every single day instead of stopping and taking a break. Taking a break is only digging a bigger hole for yourself. So if you keep your foot on the gas, eventually you will have enough momentum that you can use cruise control. So like I said, those big coaches who are the top coaches in the business, they work their butts off for years and years. And now they're at the point where they have residual income and they don't have to work for however much they did, or they don't have to host their team calls, but they have leaders on their team who have taken over. And so their business is kind of growing without them putting as much effort in. So they're in cruise control, I guess. But one last thing that I want to say is you have to set high expectations for yourself. I can give you goals all day. I can tell you what I want you to do, but at the end of the day, if you don't truly want it, then you're not going to work for it. And so I want you to, like I said, find out what kind of coach you are. Are you a hobby coach? Are you a dabbler? Or do you want this to be an actual income source for you? Do you actually want to make an income and be consistent with your business activities? And then after you figure that out, set your expectations. If you say you want to hit Success Club 5, set it higher than that. Go for Success Club 50. That might seem a little exaggerated or extreme, but really, if you are actually legitimately working towards something higher and you set that, let's say you only go for Success Club 5, you're capping yourself because you're saying, okay, once I hit 3 people, I'm done. But if you actually aim for, let's say, Success Club 50, before you know it, you're going to be at Success Club 15 because you're aiming higher and higher. I've done this to myself so many times, and so many people just get in our own way because we set low expectations for ourselves, thinking it's going to make it easier on us, when really we want a goal that we can actually achieve and overachieve. So set high expectations and don't just settle for the lowest goal. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. I am looking forward to hearing your questions, your comments about this. Oops, sorry. To sum it all up, take a screenshot of this, remember it, do it, put it into practice. Have a long-term mindset is the most important thing. The time is now. Do it. And if you have any questions, I'm of course here for you. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your comments. In those weekly individual check-ins, tell me what you're struggling with so I can help you with it. That's all I have for this team call. I hope it was helpful for you guys. I hope you got a lot of information out of it. Like I said, this wasn't really the what to do call. So if you are looking for what to do, what to say, whatever, go watch the Infinity Fitness Institute videos. So those will tell you exactly what to do, how to do it, and those are going to be really helpful for you. All right, that is all I have for you guys. I will post this recording into the group, and I would love to see your questions. Bye. Have a good night.